let's see here.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. All right. Welcome, everyone, to our webinar, NAV Easy Security from Mergetool. My name is Michael and Trevor Tolo, and I am the Marketing Manager for Solution Systems. If you take a look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a hashtag called MergeSSI. If you want to tweet about this webinar, please feel free. But if you could use the hashtag, it'd be great because then we can follow up and interact with you. Today, we are very lucky to have Per Morgensen with us from Mergetool. He will be the one conducting this wonderful overview. So with that, let me go ahead and pass this on over to him, and he can get started.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Easy Security solution that we have created for NAV. We have quite a lot of customers now using this one, and it really helps solve one of the things that has a lot of complexity to it typically, and also require a fair amount of time. And as you will see today, we can actually both cut down on the time and also cut down on the complexity quite a lot. Our solution really consists of two parts. Oops, that was one too many. And the classic client. All the features you will see works almost identical all the way back to an old classic version also. But we really have two features. One is field level and data security, and that is all things that goes beyond normal NAV security. The other part is login and permissions, and that's the ability to, with our tools, set up security maybe in hours or build really precise security and document for auditors also what people can actually do in the system. Looking at the login and permissions, we can record permission, and that's in any version of NAV, and we record both data and objects. And looking at the fact that we also do objects actually opens up the last 10% of the NAV security system, because we can also disallow objects very easily. Say we don't want people to go into a chart of account, or we don't want them to run the function that change a quote to an order. And simply by recording, we will be opening up for those people that need that access. When you assign permissions, we can group them into a group like customer service, and in that way assign something that makes a lot more sense. And we actually also do the same with companies, reducing complexity quite a lot. Every time somebody's on vacation, you sometimes need to give people additional access to perform more jobs. We can actually do that, but we can also put an expiration date on it. So when the person comes back, it will actually remove that access automatically without figuring out which records to delete again. We really have two ways of dealing with permission sets. It's a typical place where you spend a lot of time, and there will be a lot of things that has to be done and done again and so on. With quick security, we can, by simply denying access to things you don't want people to have access to. It could be that they shouldn't be able to see anything related to payroll. They should maybe only be able to see customers but not change them. And you maybe want to lock down the whole document flow. All that can easily be done with quick security. And in a few hours, you can replace super users with quick security. And even if you should see a few permissions error maybe, all you have to do is just scale back a little of the things you denied, and people can keep on working. So that's kind of the first step. But for many customers, that actually ends up being the ultimate step. We also deliver more than 100 new set of permissions. They are intended for segregation of duties, very precise security. And if you deny access to modify a vendor or create a purchase order, we have permission set that give that access back again. So in that way, you don't even have to be dealing with any of that. As we change security, we always do it offline, and we can roll back security to an earlier stage if the new permissions didn't work out well. And in that way, you don't have to give super to people just because they have a permission error. The other part of our solution is those things that goes beyond normal NAV security. We can make pages or forms read-only. We can also completely hide pages. We can make a field read-only. You don't want people to change the credit limit or the payment terms on a customer, but they really need to update phone number and contact information. Those things would be editable for them. We can also hide information, and it's used pretty commonly to hide the cost or hiding the pricing for warehouse people, in that way making it possible for them to have a lot fewer pieces of information on the screen. We also deal with the actions, and that all is all the things on the ribbon in the pages or in the classic client, the buttons. We can either gray them out or hide them. The ability to hide information is very good to simplify the interface. You maybe don't use certain parts of the application like manufacturing, and you can completely hide those things. But you can also make a screen for the people out in the warehouse that maybe only have 4 or 5 fields on the sales line, where all the pricing and quantity to invoice and things are actually gone. And the only fields that is editable would be the quantity to ship, for example. The last part of our application is an ability to filter data. You maybe have salespeople that work only for one location or maybe only with a certain subset of the sales orders. You can actually filter that quite easily. We also have accounting people that do all the normal accounting, but they shouldn't really be able to see the entries on the payroll accounts. And all that can very easily be accomplished with the data security that is the other side of our solution in here. But let's go ahead and take a look at this one. And I will be using 2017 just because it's the newest one, but there's really no difference in what you will see today. Even if you are actually using Classic, the same features would be available in here also. I want to start out with first the login and permission sites being the standard NAV security in here. I have a role center, and it shows the information interesting for a person that deal with security. I want to first look at logins. That is a place where we will be maintaining security in here. I have a new user. I could see he had no access to anything out here, and I want to assign him new permissions in here. We can assign permission sets being a single permission sets, or we can assign a group of permission sets. And I want to assign a group in here and take a look at some of the groups that I have in my database in here. I created a group down here, sales or customer service in here. It contains everything a person would actually need to be doing their job, working in a customer service role in here. We can also create groups that contains other groups or add additional permission sets in here. So an operation manager can do the same as sales, purchase, and warehouse, plus work with the item journals in here. But I want to go ahead and assign this group in here. The same way as we group permission sets, we actually also group companies in here. So if I look at this group down here, operation, it actually contains 2 companies. One of the reasons to use a group of companies would be that you maybe had 3 or 4 companies and your accounting people needed access to all of them. You could have created a single group. But another good reason is you maybe in the test environment have different company names, And by using a group, you can actually use exactly the same security in your test database as you do in the production one. And everything that we have in our application that you normally will change can actually be exported and imported. So you easily can move this from test to production that way. As I assign this group sales in here, if I update the login, I would normally be maintaining 28 combinations in here of companies and permission sets. We also calculate something we call summary permission, and that's basically everything that the user actually can do in here based on a single table. So knowing in the vendor ledger entry, I have only read permission, I'm 100% sure this user don't post anything to the vendor ledger entry because they only have reads. The other thing we calculate is something we call them summary results. And that's actually more functional things that you can do in here. So just in giving these permission sets from standard NAV, for some reason actually allow this person to actually print checks, for example. It could also be that John needs to actually be the operation manager. So I'm actually going to assign John the operation manager group also, but only be doing it inside my North America company. And I'm going to put in an expiry date. And when that date comes, we will actually check this box in here called no permissions, and it won't be active any longer. We also use this no permission manually. So if you're actually testing out new security, you don't have to delete the old one. You just have to mark it with no permissions. And you can very easily roll back to what you used to have in there. If I update my login now, I would see I had 28 combinations before. I now have 10 more in here. That's one of the things about doing temporary permission that's over time can actually end up destroying your security because you're giving and giving, and it's hard to remember what to remove again. My summary results also changed. So in one of my companies now in North America, I can now do a lot more because I, of course, got both purchase and warehouse in here also. If I look at my summary permissions now, I'll see in my vendor ledger entry for North America, I can now both insert and modify out here. And if I want to go take a look backwards and say, where did that actually came from? I had two groups assigned. They assigned me permission sets, and each of them gave me this level of access out here. So the one that allowed me to insert and modify to my vendor ledger entry was the one that actually allowed me to post purchase documents. And that makes sense to be able to do that, of course. But this one gives a very good overview how the application actually is together in here. We can also do kind of a navigate just only for security information. This one looks the other way around and saying, I'm going to look for the vendor ledger entry. And I can see there's 117 permissions in the system that actually give access to that table and the level of access so I can filter and find the permissions that I maybe need to give a user, for example. But maintaining logins here, like with John, is one part of it. The other part is building permission sets. And that's normally where, when you're going to create new security for NAV, a lot of times it ends up being very time consuming and a lot of trial and error. And it really never happens because every time you try to deploy it, people just keep on getting permission errors. One of the things when building new permission set with our solution, we actually record permissions. And that means if I want to go in and record a new permission set, I will be using the SQL profiler in here. In 2017, Microsoft actually added some features to do some recording also. And we even improved on that one with our application. So we can actually record a person in the live system and temporarily assign them permission to do something that normally was not allowed to in here. So I will go in and say, I want to filter on anything that happens in one of my databases. And this now is sitting here and listening to everything that happens in my 2017. I can now go back simply use the application, and it will capture the permissions necessary. And this one works for any version of NAV, Classic 2013 or anything in here. We have this way of recording anywhere. I'll open up this customer, and you will see it gets pretty busy back here as I actually start working inside the application. I will go do a single small change in here, simply changing an address to add a suite number in here. And as I now save this, it has been capturing all these changes in here going on. I will save it as a trace XML file. And then go ahead and close this. I don't really need that for anything anymore. So I could actually do the trace against the test database, but use it in my production database to build a new permission set in here. I want to create a new one called Edit Customer. And I want to go ahead and add my new recording in here. You'll ask me what trace I needed, and I'll go ahead and select this one in here. It will summarize the information and actually also show me some performance data that is quite nice to drill into to figure out what is the reason if something goes slow in here. But I really want to just look at the total amount of security. Doing a single edit on a customer needed 79 records in here, or 79 permissions. I can go take a look at this, and of course I needed to read and modify my customer, but I also modified my contacts, and I did a lot of reading on other things to be able to calculate or show the fact boxes out there. But a very important part is we know what pages were needed in here or what code were needed in general. I can have disabled or disallowed the customer cards for all my users, and simply by getting this permission set, give back the people the access needed in here. But these 79 permission, that was a lot of things I didn't do. When I now add this recording to my permission set, it will use a source code analysis. This one is based on the actual code in the database where Easy Security is installed. So if there's ISV solutions, customizations, this functionality will work exactly the same as it's doing for me in here. So my 79 permissions turn into 166. And if I look at origin, I can actually tell where it's coming from. I recorded that I needed to modify my customer. But that means I should be able to read the list of salespeople, read the list of location, read the list of shipping methods, and all that is being added automatically in here. This one will happen now, but it will also happen in the future. So if you actually have a change done to the application, you can rerun the source code analysis, and this thing will work now against your new code in the database, allowing a lot of things to be automatically applied inside your security in here. But again, building new permission sets require a lot of planning, and you have to do a lot of things to begin with in here. We are actually shipping a whole new list of permission sets in here. And they are based on recordings, and they are actually recorded from 2009 to 2017, and we will keep on maintaining them going forward. We have also recorded them in 3 country versions of NAV. So out of the box, they actually work in 18 different versions of NAV in here. With the source code analyzer, as you saw before, it will also take into account a lot of customizations in here. I want to take a look at this in a spreadsheet because they're a little better organized in here compared to just viewing them alphabetically in here. What we have done is basically created permission sets that can do one task in the system. If you want to do segregation of duties, you need to be able to determine by task what people can do in the system in here. And that's exactly the concept about these permission sets. I can view customer information, create customers, edit customers, and so on. I can also deal with the individual document types. I can post only a shipment, post only an invoice, and so on in here. I can also work with individual journals one at a time in here. Same has been done for purchase. It has been done for finance, and it has been done for the basic inventory in here. It does not cover 100% of the application, but the same scheme that we have followed is very easy to add additional permission sets based on the other tasks that you will have in NAV. The other reason for covering those areas is that that's typically where money is involved, and that's really where the auditors care about who have access to what in there. We also created permission set for role centers, allowing people to click on all the menu items without getting a permission error, but of course not creating a customer, because that is a task in here. And then one thing I will get back to later, or here in a minute or so, is about quick security, but we can also really control objects, taking away important pages, showing financial information, account schedules, and things like that one, even if people underneath still have the data access to be able to post them here. When you have all these detailed permission sets now, you can actually now go in and make the decision who should be doing what in our company. And I have an example of this one in here where customer service should be able to do certain tasks in here. Edit customer, but not create new ones. Create certain document types, but not post anything, and so on in here. All this one, as I look at this customer service, I will also have some access to a role center, allowing me to read some information. And of course, the ability to open the client and also execute objects in here. This one is now an easy way to have auditors approve if it's okay what people can do in here, and also to allow management to make a decision about what people should be doing in the system, because now it really refers to something that is understandable more to a single function instead of something that opens up a whole area in NAV. So all this one can be imported with the data we deliver and apply into NAV also in here. All this one is kind of the traditional way. It requires some planning. It requires that you want to know what you want people to have and so on. And a lot of times before go live, before an upgrade, or even if you have super users, you need a quick fix in here. And that is what we have created quick security for. The idea is that we will build some permission sets, and you will be denying the few things you really care about. So we can have a user that can work in NAV. We have one that can only read, and we have one that have kind of super accounting access. And that's for the data, but we also can deal with objects in here. If I take a look at this, this one has not been modified. It basically is as it comes out of the box. I can see we have over 1,200 permissions for data in here. And all the things that I will refer to as kind of setup tables. A normal user in the system shouldn't really create new payment terms. They will only have read access, no insert or modify. But all the things related to processing, people have full access. It's not the ultimate security, but it is much better than having super users or super data where people can basically do anything, also change posting groups and things like that one, or the accounts used during posting and so on. Even the super level contain the same number of tables in here, so we can actually remove information even from these kind of accounting super users. It is all controlled with something that we call object properties. And the only reason payment terms showed up read-only is basically I had data in here saying that this table should be considered read-only for quick security, a setup table. All the things related to using the application is basically full access. I maybe want to be able to control my purchase side a little better. So I'll actually reduce the permission for a few tables related to purchase. If you can't change the purchase header and you can't change the purchase line, there's really not a lot you can do in that area any longer. Same goes about not changing the vendor in here. We could also have information we didn't want anyone to see, even people maybe in accounting. That could be the human resource information. So I will go in and actually make that no access. So all these things related to these tables, even for the super level of quick security, will actually not be included any longer. So there'll be no way to get in here. This one works exactly the same for ISV solutions. So if you have payroll, you basically will remove that data from everybody in here. The same way I do with data, we can also do for objects. We often hear the question is saying, okay, people can post sales orders, but now they can also see the chart of account. And there is no way controlling that only with data, because that's just a fact of what permissions you will need in there. To post is also giving you data access to what you need to show the chart of account. But if you don't have access to execute the page, there is no way you get in there anymore. We can a lot easier find these pages related to finance in here, and the relations is the output from our source code analyzer. So I'm looking for reports and pages, and I can see out here I have relation to the GL accounts, batches, journal lines, and things like that one. We can go up and have a couple of filters up here for finance, sales, purchase, and inventory. And it now filters on a list of tables related to finance. And all these objects, those are all the reports in here, and also all the pages down here. I can go in and make them no access in here. So I had probably 4,000 objects in NAV. I have now made 139 of them no access in here. I had 1,250 tables. I reduced the permission for 4 of them and probably removed around 20 or so. So I'm really denying access to the important things, and then let's Easy Security deal with the rest of it. The thing is, in here, of course, when I reduced my access to the vendor and the purchase sides, those permission sets needed for opening up again is exactly the one we ship actually. So you don't even have to do anything, because this one will be dealing with ISV tables and anything else automatically in here. I'll go ahead and start what we call publish. It will basically be a calculation of security based on the settings, and then it will go ahead and push it out to the normal NAV tables. In the meantime, I go on to log in as a different user that is set up with quick security in here. Right now, David, I logged in here with David, and if I go take a look at vendors, for example, I should have all the access necessary to change the vendor in here, because it's still being calculated, the new permissions, and it will be pushed a little later in here. So if I go in and want to change my address, for example, and save that one, it all works fine in here. But if I thought it would be really nice if I was actually one of the purchasers, I tried to create one of these 400 tables that we have found you really only need read access to work in NAV. I don't have insert access to that one in here. So in that way, it protects all the setup. And you could assign people the super to allow them to do it. Or you could also use other permissions for a portion of the people. The other thing is, it's not finished publishing yet. So I will actually still be able to open up the chart of account in here. I can look at, drill down on the entries and be able to see the GL entries also. I'll be losing access to that as soon as I actually is finished publishing. And you can see it's blinking down here. The publish has finished. I just lost access to the page in here, both the chart of account and the general ledger entries now. If I try run it again, I now get an error. And if you are 2015 and later, all the classic version of NAV also will actually also do this. When I now reconnect, I'll be able to see that all the things actually now disappear that I don't have permission to. So even if I go search for chart of account, I will not be able to find it up here as David any longer. There is a intercompany chart of account, but there is no chart of account any longer. And it will also be gone in the department menu down here. So there is no way I can access it any longer. I don't have permission to it. So that is kind of quick security in here. And that's a normal NAV part of our solution in here. I want to show you the field level and data security also. That is all the things that goes beyond normal NAV, because you can really only allow people to modify a customer or not modify a customer. You can't say they can change the address, but not change anything else in there. And that's exactly what we can accomplish with field level security. So if I go take a look at a customer right now, I of course have full access and I'm a super user. So I can see everything and I can also change anything I wanted in here. I can see the balance, I can change the credit limit and things like that one in here. I want to first lock down the application. So actually I only want users to be able to see the information. And in that way, we have what we call a user security setup. It's completely independent of another NAV security. So you can be super user as I am, and you will see by having this one for the blank user, everybody, and being read-only, my customer, I can't change anything any longer. Menu items gray out, so I can't call the functions. And if I look at a single customer, the screen is basically grayed out. I can't change any fields any longer. I can now go make exceptions for the people that are different. So I will be opening up for myself in here and say I want to have full access in here. Basically creates a record with no field level security. But I can also make one that is maybe only to edit the address. It asks if it should copy permission from the default, and that is a read-only. So that's a good beginning since I do something really restrictive in here. I can then go in and take a look at the pages. The reason they showed up grayed out is because I made them all view in here. I can then, same way as a user, make exceptions for the things I want to be different in here. I want to have the customer cards, and I want to go add some fields in here. But really, I only want to have everything show up grayed out to begin with. So I'll make everything view in here. I'll then go add the fields, and if I want people to change the address, I'll go select a few of the fields in here and then make those ones editable. I also want to get rid of the balance. So I will search for anything that has balance in here and all these things. I want to go ahead and hide those. So now it edits the balance fields and also my global dimensions actually, because they happen to contain that one. All the things up in the ribbon can also be controlled, and I'll make something really simple for these people. I will go ahead and hide everything by default. And then I will go add a few of the actions back that people should be able to be doing in here. I maybe want to allow them to see ship-to addresses, ledger entries, and statistics, for example. I want to make them editable so they can click on them, but I can also make something view so they can only see it, but not click on it in here. And let's just go change this one. So I actually make my ledger entries view, so I can't check that anymore or click on it. So I created a new field level security code, and I'll add it to myself in here now as an exception. If I now open up my customer card, the ribbon gets quite limited up here. I'll see only a few things, and I can't click on ledger entries. If I look at it, most of the things are now grayed out. All the balance information is gone, and I can see the fields that I allowed the person to edit in here. So in that way, it's actually very easy to control the pages on top of this one. And all this one, of course, can be different by user, and you can create as many field level security codes as you want in here to have different levels of access in here. Comparing this one to configuration and customization, this one is security. It's not just usability, and it will actually look the same everywhere. The other parts is we can filter the data in here. As I look at it right now, I see customers for multiple locations in here. I want to go and limit so I only see customers for a location or maybe one or more locations. So I want to create a data security code. It's a very similar concept, and I will go in here and say I want to filter based on location. Every page can have the same filter, or you can make exceptions for other ones. I would want the same everywhere for now. I want to go find my location code. And I will put in a filter in here. And I want to hard code the filter for now. And I would actually come back and change this one to show how we can actually make this user dependent. We can also make helpful filters. So if I really wanted to allow people to only see the blocked customer or the non-blocked customers to begin with, I can make an editable filters. Users can remove it, but by default, it will actually be applied in here. So all I now have to do is my new data security code. I want to apply it to the users, and it is the same as I did before. We just now will assign data security out here. I want to apply it for myself and everybody else in here. So if I now go look at the list of customers, I only see the blank and blue one. I also see my filter for the blocked one, and that is editable, so I can get rid of that one. But I can clear the filter, I can do anything I want. I'm not getting around this filter for the blank or the blue location in here. So basically, you could have salespeople only seeing sales orders for the location they work in. I want to make one more change in here before I go back, and that's actually to make this user dependent. We have something, we call it a user filter, and that's where we can map a user to a whole list of dimensions inside NAV in here. And we can then use that in our filtering, and then that's in an easy way make it work in here. I will go ahead and say for my blank user, it should actually be using the blue location out here. But for myself, blank being the default, I will actually be working in a different location, the red or the yellow location out here. We can also have salespeople and things like that one. Allowing multiple one makes it easy to make a manager that can actually show multiple locations out here. But now I map my location to my users. All I now have to do is a single change on my data security code. And instead of having my hard-coded filter, I go into use something, we will say we want to substitute values into the filter in here. I don't know why I picked that before in here. But I will go in and say that blue, I don't want that one out here. I want to do a lookup. and select what we call dynamic filters in here. We have things related to dates, responsibility centers, and all these user filters. So I can go here and select the one about location, and I'll see that mine is red and yellow. And I now have used a variable in my filter. The last thing I just want to see here is actually that it works. So when I now open up my list of customers, I see yellow, blank, and the red ones. And I can clear all filters, but I'm not going to see any other location in here. So that was what I wanted to show from the application actually in here. I want to go back to my presentation because I have a few slides about pricing in here. All this one is actually available from 2.6, and we typically ship this within a few days from Microsoft. Our permissions sets take a little longer because we need to do a fair amount of testing that they actually work well. We don't care what application you run, if you use a LANAM shipping solution, if you have a very large ISV solution. Basically, for our application, there's only new objects. So we will treat anything that is in your database the same. We have application in multiple languages also, and there actually is complete documentation, online help, and a whole lot of videos on our website. The solution is added to your license, and there's really two parts of it: login and permissions, and then the field level and data security in here. They cost $2,500 each, and that is for your license. It didn't matter how many users you have in your NAV install. You can also get the complete solution, and it costs $4,500, so that's a little saving if you get all of it. We have a fixed price training, and we have trained over 200 customers actually in using our solution. And in most cases, the idea is that you'll be 100% capable of maintaining your own security after that. We have a lot of customers, and if you go to some of the user groups, for example, you'll probably hear some of them that are using our application in here. Worldwide, we have more than 65,000 users in the licenses using our application, and we just had our customer number 1,000 actually buying our solution in here. What else? That's what I wanted to show you today. I don't know if there's any questions or anything else.
It looks like we have one hand raised by, I hope I'm saying this right, Unadi Patel. So I will go ahead and unmute them. Can you hear us, Unadi? Do you have a question?
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Hey. Yeah, that was great demo. Thank you so much. So the question I have is like, if we have the customized pages and reports, so when we set up the security, all those pages and tables will also pop up as a part of the setup, right? Or is this will just work for the standard pages and reports?
No, all the features you have seen, we only have new objects. And we really don't know what is standard and what is not standard. So for us, everything is basically treated exactly the same way. If you already have coded a lot of changes on your pages, what we actually do, the way we can make field level and data security work is actually that we will add some code on the pages, but it's not a manual merge. You basically just select the tables. The partner will run a process and it will write the code necessary. And if you want to upgrade in the future, you actually remove the code changes again. And that is a really important part of this solution, because if you can't remove it, your future upgrades is going to be a lot more expensive. But you basically add the code, remove the code before an upgrade, and when you're done, you add it back again. And as you maybe noticed, everything refers to numbers. And numbers don't change between versions of NAV typically. So all this one will actually work as soon as the code is back again.
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Let's see here. We have another question, and it says, any yearly maintenance fee after $4,500 complete solution?
Yeah, same way as Microsoft is charging an enhancement fee of 16%, we actually do the same. And when you buy the solution, the first year's enhancement is actually due. So if you end up getting the complete solution, the invoice would be for $5,220 actually. And future years would be $720. That is 16% of the complete solution in there.
Nice, real nice.
Yeah. But you won't lose access. And actually the training, that is the $1,500 down here, it includes a $250 support charge for following years. And if you don't need any support, you can just cancel the support charge if you aware of using our application, but it allows you to ask questions about the application and also do a best practices session once in a while, for example, as part of the support.
Very well. All right, let's see. I don't believe I see any other questions, but I do have one or two for you, Per. So let's see. Can you buy field level security without the normal NAV security tools?
Yeah, if you already have security set up, you can buy field level by itself, and it works fine. There's no need to buy the login and permissions part. So they're not mutually exclusive in any way that you have to get one to get the other or anything like that.
Real nice. And how long would you say that it takes to implement the security?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. We have had people that have worked for 6 months and still have nothing else than super users, but they were probably a little too optimistic of what they want to do. We also have people that was 24 hours away of failing a Sarbanes-Oxley review, and they actually managed in 24 hours to build security with quick security that the auditors were happy with. The way you do that is you use quick security. You deny the tables that the auditors care about and maybe what the management care about. Same goes for objects. And then you use our permission to give back only those tasks to begin with. And when you come back 3 months later and management say, hey, you really have to fix the sales process also, you deny 2 more tables and then you only build permission sets for what you deny. So it's a very tough question to answer because it can be anything from 2 hours after finishing the training to actually being so adventurous with security that you never really finish, but we have multiple steps that allow you to get started pretty fast.
Very nice, very nice. Just one more. So let's say somebody has NAV security, let's just say they have some NAV security set up already. Do they have to start from the beginning again, or can they just kind of add to it?
No, what we actually do is when we install our application, the first thing we will do is run an installation wizard, and it will copy all your existing security into our tables. So then you can start using our recorder to improve on your existing permission sets or anything actually. But you basically start with your current security, and then you will be able to use our tools to maintain it going forward or add to it.
Perfect, perfect. Well, I do not see any questions from anyone else, so I want to, say thank you for doing this. We generally appreciate it, and I will put my contact information on the screen. And if you have any questions about what Per was talking about in NAV Easy Security, please contact me. If we can't answer it here at Solution Systems, we'll definitely get a hold of Per. And once again,
I'll be happy to do a one-on-one customer demo also, because a lot of times you maybe have questions or special requests, and we can show all that typically in a one-on-one demo if needed.
Perfect, perfect. Well, thanks again, Per, and we will be in touch in the future, I'm sure. Thank you, everyone.